Hey everyone, today I'm diving into a fascinating piece of religious and historical literature, the Talmud. But what exactly is the Talmud, and how does it differ from the Torah? Let's explore. First up, the Talmud is not a single book, but rather a comprehensive collection of discussions, laws, and ethical teachings. It serves as the central text of Rabbinic Judaism, and is incredibly significant in both religious and cultural contexts. Now you might be thinking, isn't it just another part of the Torah? Well, not quite. The Torah, specifically the written Torah, consists of the first 5 books of the Hebrew Bible. Think Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. These are considered the direct word of God, given to Moses on Mount Sinai. The Talmud, on the other hand, is often regarded as man-made. It is primarily composed of the Mishnah and the Gemara. The Mishnah, written around 200 CE, is a compilation of oral traditions and laws that were not included in the written Torah. The Gemara, which is a commentary on the Mishnah, expands on these discussions, and was completed around 500 CE. So, why do some people say the Talmud is just man-made laws? Well, it's because the Talmud reflects centuries of debates, interpretations, and rulings by various rabbis. These are not directly the words of God, but rather the efforts of men trying to understand and apply the Torah's teachings in their lives. Despite this, the Talmud is not merely a collection of arbitrary rules. It represents a deep, structured attempt to interpret religious laws and ethics. So whether you're a history buff, a religious scholar, or just curious, the Talmud offers a rich tapestry of insights that go to laws. It's a dynamic conversation across the centuries, ever-changing, ever-relevant. Thanks for tuning in. If you found this intriguing, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more deep dives into history and culture. See you in the next video.
The Talmud is a central text of Rabbinic Judaism and a fundamental component of Jewish tradition. It is a compilation of teachings, laws, and interpretations based on the Torah, elaborated by various rabbis over several centuries. The Talmud consists of 2 main parts, the Mishnah and the Gemara. The Mishnah is the first written recording of the oral Torah, redacted by Rabbi Judah the Prince around 200 CE. It consists of 6 orders, Sedarim, each divided into tractates, Masechtot, and further into chapters and verses. The Gemara is a commentary on the Mishnah, elaborating on its teachings and discussing them in detail. It contains the discussions of rabbis from around 200 to 500 CE. Babylonian Talmud, the more widely studied version compiled in the academies of Babylonia, modern-day Iraq, around 500 CE, considered more authoritative and traditional. Jerusalem Talmud, compiled in the land of Israel around 400 CE. It is shorter and less comprehensive than the Babylonian Talmud. During Jesus' time, Jewish law and tradition were transmitted orally. The teachings that would later be written down in the Mishnah, and subsequently the Talmud, were already being discussed and practiced by Jewish scholars and religious leaders, known as Pharisees and scribes. Jesus often engaged with the Pharisees and scribes. The Pharisees emphasized the importance of oral tradition alongside the written Torah, which would eventually be codified in the Mishnah and expanded in the Talmud. The Gospels recount numerous instances where Jesus debated with Pharisees and scribes over interpretations of the law, Torah, and religious practices. His critiques were often aimed at what he perceived as hypocrisy, legalism, or a lack of genuine righteousness among some religious leaders. For example, Jesus criticized the Pharisees for emphasizing minor details of the law while neglecting more important matters like justice, mercy, and faithfulness, Matthew 23:23. Jesus often challenged the Pharisaic interpretation of the Sabbath laws. He performed healings on the Sabbath and argued that the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath, Mark 2:27. Jesus questioned certain purity laws and rituals. He emphasized inner purity and moral conduct over external rituals, Mark 7:1-23. Jesus questioned the Pharisees' focus on ritual purity. teaching that what comes out of a person's heart is more important than external rituals of cleanliness. Mark 7:1-23. Jesus frequently challenged the Pharisaic rules regarding the Sabbath. For instance, he healed people on the Sabbath and allowed his disciples to pick grain, emphasizing that the Sabbath should serve humanity's needs rather than being a strict legal requirement. Mark 2:23-28, Luke 13:10-17. Jesus often highlighted the importance of compassion and mercy over strict adherence to the law. He told the Pharisees that they had neglected the weightier matters of the law and emphasized the spirit of the law over its letter. Matthew 12:1-8, Luke 10:25-37. The law and the prophets with the commandments to love God and love one's neighbor. Matthew 22:36-40. He emphasized that these principles were the foundation of all other commandments and traditions. Jesus criticized the Pharisees for hypocrisy, such as performing religious duties to be seen by others rather than out of genuine devotion. Matthew 6:16-23:5-7. He called for authentic righteousness that comes from the heart. His challenges to the Pharisaic interpretations of the law were aimed at redirecting the focus from a legalistic adherence to rules towards a more profound, heart-centered faithfulness to God's intentions. Until next post, shalom.